Okay, so for those of us that are coming in, hello, welcome. Good morning or good afternoon to you. And just some housekeeping items that we want to go over before we get started is the first thing is, you may have questions as we move through this. So you can open up, if you have a chat box and you want to, ask us anything via that, you can do that, or the Q&A, whichever one you're seeing on your screen. Yes, and I just saw a question already posted. So your camera and mic is not going to be on because this is a webinar. So you're just going to be able to see and hear us. But if you do have any questions that you'd like to ask, you can go ahead and do that through the Q&A and we'll be responding to those. Okay, so that's the first thing. The other parts of this is that this is going to be a recorded session, so you will be getting the link after. So if you have to step out for any amount of time, don't worry, we've got you covered, and we'll be sending the link to you via email in the coming days after this. And the last two things is I'm going to be we'll be sharing some links with you. And so those links are going to be for two things. So one of them is the property manager guide that we have been passing those out around. You may have gotten one already, you may have gotten a hard copy, you may have gotten a link. This is on our website, on our track page. You can access it there. We'll be sending you the link for that as well. And we'll also be sending you the link to the page through which you'll be accessing the annual reporting system when that time comes. Now, the annual reports are not open right now. We'll be going through it with you today, but you can't actually access the system today. But you'll want to take those links and probably bookmark them for when that time comes. And I think with no further to do, I'm going to go ahead and pass this along to Ruth Carbonell, who is our multifamily recycling program manager.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for that introduction. And we are very excited to have you here. I can't believe it's already December. It's a very busy month. So we know January is going to be around the corner. So we want you to be ready for this reporting season. And that's why we're spending these minutes today with you. And we hope you can learn as much as you need. And don't worry if anything you missed today. Like Jessica said, we will be sending you the recordings. We will be sending you the slides. So you will be able to go back and review. Okay, so this is the webinar for filing your annual multifamily recycling and waste reduction report online. And these are some of the, this is something that is mandated by Montgomery County Executive Regulation 1-15. It has been around for decades. And if you are new to this, if it's the first time you are reporting to us, don't be afraid. We're here to help you. We're here to walk you through. And if you had done it before, but maybe you are doing it wrong, so today is a great day to learn what you're doing wrong and what you're missing. We will be able to show you the common mistakes. We're gonna go over how to do it online, how to get ready, how to start asking questions to your callers. So it's kind of like a friendly reminder for all of you that have done it for years, but also a great opportunity for those who haven't ever done it and maybe thinking that this is overwhelming, but actually it's not as overwhelming as it looks. Your annual recycling report is due every February 1st. It means the next year, February 1st, you will be required to report this to our division, to the Department of Environmental Protection. You will need to have the property and contact information, the volumes and weights of all materials collected for recycling and solid waste for disposal. You will have a description of efforts to educate residents and staff, the description of waste reduction activities. This is very important to us because in that section, we are seeing how much you are reducing waste. That's kind of like the main focus for us right now, is to reduce waste and to be able to recycle more. The signature of responsible party is also very important when you do this report, because we need to go back. If there is anything missing, we need to go back to the responsible party. So when we go to the facility again, to your company or to your property, we need to know who's the person, the recycling agent that is actually responsible for filing this report, so we can compare and see what is missing. Each report section is mandatory. So here are the mandatory recyclable materials. There are 5 of them. So it's only 5 items that are actually required by law for you to recycle. The first one is the mixed paper, and that includes all your white and color paper, newspapers, insert magazines, anything that you can think of paper, cardboard, and box parts. Any shredded paper, any coated paper items like milk carton, juice, drink boxes, everything like that has to be reported. Commingled materials, and that explains everything else but paper pretty much. Plastic bottles, container, jars, tops, lids, cups, etc. Glass bottles, yes, we recycle glass. Bimetal, steel, tin cans, aluminum cans, and foil products. So many times you guys have something called single streaming, which is both of these items are mixed in one big container. So it's okay as long as you are letting us know that you are single streaming. And we're gonna go over later, Renee's gonna go over later of how to report that when you have a single stream recycling program. But these 2, we need to make sure you are recycling. So if you just give us information about commingle, but don't mention anything about paper, we're gonna think that you're not recycling mixed paper. And then it will put you into violation. So you need to let us know, please, everything is going into the same container, so we know you are also adding mixed paper. Scrap metal is any small or large item that has 50% or more metal in content. So for instance, you have refrigerators, you have toasters, microwaves, you have pads, pens, you have any small items, utensils, all of that must be recycled and must be reported as well. The yard trim, and this is mainly the things that are like grass clippings, leaves, and brush, everything that is usually managed by your landscaping company, but also it may be managed by your own staff if you have a small property. It also has to be reported to us. Christmas trees, as we are entering this season of Christmas, please make sure you have a program in place where these items are gonna be recycled. So it's not okay to throw away Christmas trees in your trash. It is a violation. If any of our investigators go and see that in the trash, you're gonna get a citation for that. So please make sure you have already a plan to recycle the Christmas trees, and also to report with your annual recycling report the number of Christmas trees that you recycled. The voluntary recyclable materials are items, as the name says, that are not mandated, but also are important to recycle. This is a great opportunity for you to increase your recycling efforts. For example, you can have carpet and carpet padding, compact fluorescent lights, bulbs and tubes, electronic items, computers, televisions, radios, etc., batteries, textiles, toner, printer, and fax carriages, plastic wraps and bags, food scraps. So if any of these items have been generated in your property, the correct thing to do is to recycle them. If you haven't done it yet, please ask us how to start a program with any of these, and we will be happy to help you to start any of these voluntary recyclable programs in your property. If you are doing it already, please get credit by letting us know how much of these are you recycling per year. The information that you want to gather before you file are these 6 steps that I have here. First, you want to contact your collection service company, and you want to ask them for the contracts, the invoices. You want to make sure you know what is written in your contract, how many times they are coming to collect, the collection frequency times, the list of materials that your property is recycling. So make sure everything that you are recycling, make sure you are put it in your report so you are getting credit for it. The name of your recycling and trash collector. Oftentimes, if you're the property manager, you should be able to know that already, but if you don't know, go to your contract, make sure it's the same person that you are paying for, right? Information about central collection containers, for example, the sizes of the containers, the numbers of the containers, so you want to make sure you have all of that in order. If you have everything ready, the process shouldn't take you more than like an hour to file your report, but if you don't have these pieces together, it's going to take you at least few days. So it's better, it's very important to have these items handy before you start your report. You can always go back and forth as long as you don't submit the report. So if you just start the report, but you couldn't finish it, don't worry, you can go again with your credentials and add the missing information. Quantity of material collected in the previous calendar year. So remember, this report is going to cover January 1st from 2021 until December 31st, 2021. And like Jessica just said, the portal is right now closed for maintenance, but it will open January 1st. So immediately in January 1st, you are able to go and log in and start filing your report. Okay, so for now, this is what you need to have ready. Please do not wait until the last minute. This is December 7th. So it's the first week of December. Is a great opportunity for you to start contacting your contracts, your contractors and your haulers and ask them, I need the amounts of mixed paper or amounts of commingled materials. I need the scrap metal amounts. I need the yard trim waste generated for last year, or the yard trim, if you guys cut trees or did any of these items in your, did any of these at your property. So make sure you start contacting them now, since it takes them few weeks to get back to you. Some of them are pretty fast, some of them are pretty busy, larger companies. So the best practice is to start now, asking them for these estimated amounts. Now, if you are like self-hauler or you are doing it yourself, you can go also and use our recycling and trash weight calculator. And here the slides have the link to the calculator, and you're gonna see it also. Renee is gonna walk us through as well. So that's a calculator that we have, and is current today with the latest amounts and percentages and everything like that. So you can also access that calculator and find the amounts of mixed paper, the amounts of Christmas trees, scrap metal, commingled trash, if you couldn't get it through your contractors. These are just some examples of common on-site collection containers that you may have. So lots of people have toters, or maybe have a roll-off for ball trash or for scrap metal, or even for the Christmas tree. Some companies use a roll-off. Dumpsters, so you may have an 8 cubic yard, a 6 cubic yard dumpster, a 4 cubic yard, a 2 cubic yard dumpster. So this is just to give you an idea of how they look, and so you can compare to what you have on site. Compactor, some people have compactor for trash or compactor for cardboard, etc. So this is just to give you an idea. Make sure you are putting the right container size when you're typing those numbers, since that is going to affect the total amount of pounds that you are reporting. This is a screenshot of the calculator, the recycling and trash weight estimate calculator. So as you see, the first column has the dual stream recycling program. So if you have one container for paper, one container for commingled, this is the first column here is what you want to use, but the first box, sorry. But if you have a single stream recycling program, you want to use the middle box here that has the word single stream in many places. So for you guys to use as a reference, so you don't get lost. And then the last box here in red has the trash weight estimate calculator. So you can also type numbers here, just type the number of containers, the number of pickups per week, and it will generate automatically the total yearly pounds. Now, Lots of people send me this calculator just like that. That's not okay. So you either want to use the online system that is going to walk us through Renee in a few minutes, or you are going to use the paper-based report. But just sending this page here with the numbers is not okay, it's not acceptable, and you will be rejected if you send that this year. So that's just to give you some information on that. Now you're ready to file your recycling report online. Now you have everything that you need. You have, you know who is collecting your recyclables, who's collecting your trash. Oftentimes it's the same company. You know the container size, you know how often they come to your property. You know what voluntary recyclables you are recycling. You are ready, you have everything ready to just upload it in the system. So now you're gonna go to this link that you see here. It's www.montgomerycountymd.gov/SWS/track/annual recycling report, HTML. And Jessica, I think she has it in the chat, so you guys can access to that. Like I said, it's closed right now, but it will open in a few weeks. So January 1st, the first week of January, you can start accessing this online reporting system and entering all this great information. And I know you guys are doing a great job recycling because you are already here. And I always say people who are in these webinars is because they have so many great things happening in their properties. So thank you for recycling. Thank you for being here, learning a little bit more. And like I said before, if you haven't done it ever, don't worry, we're here to help you. If you need more assistance after this webinar, we will be happily help you. So online, access your filing account. So you want to click there. And like you see, this page also have other information, like if you wanted to download an annual report form, you can also do that. If you don't have access to a computer, but I see everybody's here using a computer, so you probably don't need that. But if that was the case, you can also have that choice. So when you click that, access your filing online, you're gonna land on this page. Ignore this tutorial that is on the right hand, on the left hand, because that's for businesses. So don't worry about that. That's also that information on the bottom. That's for businesses. Our deadline is February 1st. So the most important part on this box is multifamily. You are all part of multifamily program. You're 7 or more dwelling units. So your deadline is February 1st. Okay. Here is my phone number, and you can also, we're going to provide the emails at the very end if you guys have more questions at the end. So with this, I'm going to let Renee Johnson. She is one of our program specialists. She's going to, and most of you already work with her. She will be helping us today to navigate through the online portal system. I'm gonna give her access right now. Okay, so I'm trying to find Renee. You're up, Renee. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ruth. All right, so I am gonna start sharing my screen. So this is the page you'll see when it's time to sign in and submit your report. So I'm going to click sign me in. All right, now this is what it should look like. This is kind of like the dashboard that you'll see if you have multiple properties. They'll be listed under here where it says report groups. Today we're just working with one. Once you click on start 2021 report, this is where you can, enter your information. Down here we have account tools. If you need to change any account information, like, if you need to change your email or contact information, the address, if you've had like a property name change, this is the place for that. So I'm going to go ahead and click start 2021 report for the demonstration. So here, again, this is just general information about your property. You can add a property. You know, I know there's some properties who've had like a phase 1 and a phase 2 expansion. So this is where you would add a property. I'm going to click on this box that says the property list on this page is correct to the best of my knowledge, and I'm ready to start my report. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So we're jumping in. As Ruth said, this is where it's really important for you to have all the information from your haulers. So we require that you report 5 different material types to us in Montgomery County. That's going to be mixed paper, commingled materials, scrap metal, Christmas trees, and yard trim. So I'm going to go ahead and click those 5 and proceed. We also do voluntary recyclable items. A big one that some properties tend to have would be like composting, so food scraps. I'm gonna go ahead and select that as well. Maybe your property collects batteries or books or clothing. This is, again, the place where you would put those voluntary items. All right, so starting off for mixed paper, Ruth had up a slide that kind of showed the different bin sizes. That's going to be this first drop down over here where it says central collection container type. So for example, I'm just going to do a 2 cubic yard container. Now you want to say how many containers that you have of this type. So remember, we're just focusing on mixed paper right now. So say you have a 2 cubic yard, one for mixed paper, and then you have another one for commingled. I'm just going to enter in 1 here. And then for frequency, we'll just say once a week. Now, when it comes to the quantity, this is where you're going to want to use our calculator. And I do have it pulled up right here. So right now we're focusing on dual stream recycling. So what dual stream means is that you're collecting your materials for mixed paper in 1 bin, and you're collecting your materials for commingled in a separate container. And I will go over single streaming. I know a lot of people think that the word commingled means single stream, but commingled is just talking about your glass, aluminum, and your your plastic items. And then mixed paper is its own separate container. So right now, for the sake of this demonstration, I'm just going over dual stream recycling. So in the first column, it says number of containers. We said we had 1. For number of pickups, we said we had 1. So then you can see here in this green column, you'll have the total yearly pounds generated. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that amount. And then I'm going to head back to the annual recycling report database. And then I'm going to paste that information in directly. And then I'll select add. So now you can see this is how you add a container. This is how you add the pounds. You are going to want to put in your hauler information. So let's see. We have 2 different options. You can say that we hire a commercial hauler, or you can say that we transport it ourselves. I would say for, mixed paper and commingled, all but maybe 1 property has like some sort of commercial hauler. So you're going to want to click that first option. And I'm just going to put waste management, just for example. If you have a new hauler and they're not in our database, you can go over here and you can put in that hauler name and some of their information, like their address and their contact information. And then you would click save. And that's a way that you can try to add a new hauler in our database. But again, for the sake of this demonstration, I'm just going to put waste management. So now that we're complete with mixed paper, you can see that there's a green check box just letting us know that that information has been entered and it's saved. Then I'm going to move over to commingled. So this is pretty straightforward at this point. Again, we're going to say that you have a 2 cubic yard dumpster for commingled. you have one container and it's also collected once a week. I'm gonna go back to the calculator and make sure that you don't get confused, and make sure that you're clicking the right material type. So we also have an option for cardboard, and that's if you're collecting cardboard separately from your mixed paper items. So I'm clicking here on commingled because that's the section that we're doing on the report. Again, we have one container, it's collected once a week. And this green box, you'll automatically get the yearly pounds generated. Going back to the report database and pasting it. Make sure you're selecting pounds. There's sometimes where we get information and it's in gallons or in tons, but just make sure that you're selecting pounds, because once you're using this calculator, everything is reported in pounds. Again, adding hauler. Let's see what else we can put. Republic, just for an example. So that is an example of how to use our calculator if you have dual stream. I do want to give an example of how you would enter this information doing single stream, just because I know a lot of our properties are still doing single stream recycling. So the difference between the calculators is, as Ruth mentioned, this first area on the left is for dual stream. If you're doing single stream, you're going to use the calculator that's right here in the middle. And this time, I guess I'll do the example with a 96-gallon toter. So this is where I think people get confused on the report. It's like we only have one container on site, and we're using that both for commingled and mixed paper. But I also see sometimes people on the report reporting things twice. So it appears that they have 2 bins when in reality they only have 1. So let's say you have one 96-gallon and all of your recyclables are going in there. Again, it's only picked up once a week. Now you see that there has been some numbers automatically generated for mixed paper and commingled. So this, again, this is the calculator that you are going to want to use if that's what your property is doing. So I'm going to kind of show you how to put that into the system. You're going to find the 96-gallon wheeled cart, 1 container. It's collected once a week. And then I'm going to paste that first number that was in our mixed paper column. And then for the second number for commingled, I'm going to come over here and we can just add this for our commingled section. And now you're going to want to put in the information for commingled. It's the same bin. You don't need to differentiate in any way. Just make sure that the pounds are different. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but for mixed paper, it was 2,084, but for commingled, it was only 1,275. And that is going to be the difference that we've kind of already embedded into the calculator, whether you're single streaming or not. And also, I kind of just demonstrated that if you have more than 1 container type, you can always just add a container down here at the bottom. Again, we're going to want to fill out the hauler information. So I'll put Bates. If you don't put the correct hauler, you're not going to be able to submit this at the end. So you want to make sure that anything that's highlighted is being put into the system. So now I'll move on to scrap metal. And if you're confused by anything, we do have instructions on how to use our single stream calculator. You can see here there's instructions for the desktop, and it's basically kind of going over everything that I just showed you if you need a reference. And again, if you want to find where our calculator is, you can just go on the TRAC website. So yeah, this is going to be the home page for our track website. And then you can just click on file your annual recycling report, and then you have filing tools. So this is the calculator that I'm using for the demonstration. And all of this will be included, with the slides, as well as with the recording that you'll get after the webinar. So moving on to scrap metal. This is the third material type that we want to report. So with scrap metal, some properties have a container. Maybe you have a 96-gallon toter that you're using to collect scrap metal. But I would say most locations tend to have like a general area where residents can put these materials. Maybe it's like a bulk area where they're collecting these. And so if that's the case, you can select other if you don't have a designated container size for scrap metal. Now, I think this is a really good option if you don't know the exact pounds of scrap metal that was collected by your hauler that year, but maybe you've kept a log and okay, maybe we did 30 refrigerators and 25 stoves. This would be a good place for you to type this information. And then Ruth, Jessica, or I will go ahead and we'll just calculate that on our end. But please don't leave this section blank. I think this is probably the biggest mistake that we see on the annual recycling reports is we're not getting any information about the scrap metal that was collected, because we know that multifamily properties are generating a lot of scrap metal. And I think really that's just maybe bookkeeping, just keeping track of those things or reaching out to your haulers like Ruth mentioned. That's going to be really important when it comes to submitting the report to us. So yeah, I kind of put, generally like an estimate of, how many things maybe we had hauled off in 2022. And then for container type, our number of containers, you can just put 1. For the frequency of collection, I think a lot of properties are doing on call. So I'll just go ahead and put, maybe they come quarterly. I'll just put 4. And then when it comes to quantity, if you don't have the amount, again, you can just put items. So I said 30 refrigerators, 25 stoves. So that's 55 items. And that's completely acceptable. Now for your hauler, this may be a situation where you're self-hauling. I know some properties are taking their scrap metal to our transfer station in Durwood. So if you're self-hauling, you can, instead of clicking the first one that we hire a commercial hauler, you can say we transport it ourselves. So if that's the case, you can click on that. And we do want to know what facility you've taken it to. So if it's our facility, go ahead and type that in and you can click save. I can also do an example where if maybe you're using like TurboHaul. I know TurboHaul can provide you the exact pounds of material that was recycled. So let's say you had a 96-gallon toter, you had 1 of them, and TurboHaul came and collected it, 4 times that year, and you have the exact pounds. You can do that as well for scrap metal. And then you can come over here and add your hauler if you didn't self-haul it to a different location. There it is. So that is, these are 2 different ways that you can report scrap metal. The other is a really good tool. Like if you want to say, it was a 2 cubic yard or like a 2-yard pickup truck or something. This is just kind of giving you more options if our drop down doesn't really fit what's going on at your property. Moving on to Christmas trees. So Christmas trees, this is something that is going to be coming up for us in the next couple of weeks. As Ruth mentioned, you really want to kind of give notice to your residents and let them know, hey, this is where you can place your Christmas trees, because Christmas trees shouldn't be placed in the trash, nor should they be placed in your curbside recycling bin. So make sure that you have a section and a location and your residents are aware of where they can put those trees at and on what date. So let's say, you've already established a collection site. Multiple container types is also another, good drop down option if you don't have like a specific container size for Christmas trees. Again, it doesn't matter, you can just put one, if you don't have the exact, if you don't know like, oh, it's not a 3 cubic yard, if it's just other or multiple container type, you can just put one. For frequency, maybe they just came out once a year to collect your Christmas trees. Now there is a section in our calculator for Christmas trees. It's going to be located right under the dual stream calculator. So you can see it here, number of trees, it'll automatically generate. So say there were 10 trees that the residents dropped off this year. This number is automatically generated again in all of the green columns. So you can go ahead and copy that and paste it directly into the annual recycling report. And we're gonna add, same thing as all the other material types, you just wanna add your hauler. So I think sometimes there's properties that are using like their landscaper will take off the trees. So I'll just say Brightview in this case. Boom, and now we're done with Christmas trees. Now I know that there are some senior properties that don't allow Christmas trees. So this is another good opportunity for you to use the other box. And then you can just kind of let us know, no trees allowed. Or, maybe most of your residents are using artificial trees. This is a good area for you to say, no trees disposed of in 2021, or I guess it would be 2022 for this upcoming reporting season. But just don't leave this blank, just let us know what's going on at your property. Because if you leave it blank, then Jessica or we're gonna contact you and we're gonna say, hey, how come, you didn't report any scrap metal, or how come you didn't report any Christmas trees? And I know some property managers kind of get annoyed of us. They're like, hey, we already submitted the report, but it's our jobs to make sure that the reports are filled out completely. So if you don't want us reaching out to you, make sure that you're taking the time to give us an accurate picture of, what's going on at your property. So yeah, in this case, if there was no trees allowed, or if you didn't dispose of any trees, you can just say 0 for everything, and we will accept that answer if that's the case at your property. Now, in this case, there's not going to be a hauler. So you can just come into any one of those boxes and you can just say not applicable. That's also an option. Let's see. So let's move on to our last required material type, and that's going to be yard trim. So for yard trim, there's 2 different options on the drop-down box. The first one is going to be composting. So when we say composting, this is when your landscaper is taking things off site. So this is, maybe for the leaf collection, or, maybe it's going to be for when they're trimming trees, which does happen pretty often. So this is the number that you're going to want to use for composting. Again, this is one of the situations where you're going to want to get this number from your hauler. So this is the time to do it. You'll have within the next 3 to 7 weeks before you have to submit this report. It is going to take them some time to get this information to you. So you're going to want to do that ahead of time. So yeah, let's say that, for container type, let's just say 1 for composting. Most places I think are getting serviced maybe once a week, but that's just kind of like during the summer and fall and spring season. It kind of equates to like twice a month if you're not adding the winter months. And really for composting, the most important part is the pounds. It's not so much like the frequency of collection. If you can't get that number from your hauler, we also do have another section in our calculator. And here you're going to want to enter cubic yards. So this is actually something, this is a number that you actually may get back from your landscaper. They may say, oh, we took off, 8 cubic yards of yard trim in 2022. So you're just gonna wanna enter that number 8 in, and then it's automatically tabulated in the green column. Again, we're just gonna come to the report and paste that in. And for yard trim, we're not done. So there's also grass cycling that's going on at a lot of your properties, and you can find grass cycling in the drop-down box as well. Typically for grass cycling, there's not a container, right? Because grass cycling is when they're mowing the lawns and they're just leaving the clippings there for added nutrients. So you can just go ahead and put 0. Again, we just kind of put 2 times a month just as a yearly average. And then for pounds, you can put the pounds in here if your hauler was able to give that to you. We also have a section in our calculator where if you know the acreage of your green space on your property, you can go ahead and put that in. If you know the square footage of the green space, you can put that into our calculator as well. So these are just different numbers that you may get. I'm just gonna take the grass cycling acreage. I put 5, then I'm gonna paste that total yearly pounds into the reporting system. And then again, don't forget to add your hauler. So I'll put, see, green scene. And you want to do it for both composting and grass cycling. All right, so for this example, we've done all of the material types. We have mixed paper, commingled, scrap metal, Christmas trees, and yard trim. Now, I don't want to forget trash. That's probably the biggest one when it comes to the amount of pounds that you're generating. So again, I'm just going to, select a random container type just for the example. I'll say that you have an 8 cubic yard dumpster for trash. Maybe you have like 5 of them on the property. And for trash, maybe it's collected Monday through Friday. So I'll put 5 days a week. You can come over to our calculator. And trash is going to be on the far right. So you want to come down here, select 8 cubic yard dumpster. We're going to put that we have 5 containers 5 times a week, and this is the number that's generated. And then you can paste that directly into the report system and then add it. I will put the hauler really quickly. I do want to also show that this is an area if you are doing single stream recycling, and if you're following the instructions that we have down here at the bottom. I don't know if you guys noticed earlier when I was doing our single stream calculator that there was a gray column, and it's for total yearly pounds of contamination. And this is, again, this is in the instructions for single stream. This is where you're going to want to put the gray column. You're going to want to put it in the trash section. So for trash, I'm going to click other. And then I'm just going to put single stream contamination. Number of containers doesn't really matter in this case. But the most important point is to put that contamination. And that's just basically deducting from the total pounds that you have recycled for mixed paper and commingled, because we do find that there's a certain amount of contamination when you are doing single stream recycling versus doing dual stream. So that's just what that number means. And I know this may be confusing, but again, please just check out the instructions that we created in the calculator if you're doing single stream. This is another instance where you don't really need to put a hauler. You can just put that it's not applicable. And that's it for trash. There are some properties that will also use the trash section to use for a roll-off. Maybe you have like a 30 cubic yard roll-off. Now, this is information that only your hauler can give you. We don't have a section in our calculator to calculate the amount of pounds for a roll-off. So if you have a roll-off, again, this is a situation where you're really gonna wanna find out from your hauler what was the number of pounds. If your property has compactors, this is also another situation where we can't generate a calculation for compactors. So you're really gonna wanna reach out and find that out as well. So yeah, just be mindful of the different container types that you're selecting and the frequency, and you should be okay. So before I wrap it up, I'm going to go back down to recycling because we did click food scraps for a voluntary item. There are a lot of multifamily properties that are recycling food scraps, that are composting food scraps, which is great. So you want to select the container type that's applicable to your property. So I'll just select an 18-gallon container at the very top. Maybe you just have one of these containers, and veteran compost or compost crew is coming out to collect these containers once a week. We actually do have composting option in our calculator as well. Let's see. Yeah, so here are the different size containers that we have. So if you have like a 35-gallon, again, just put the number of containers, the number of pickups, and then you'll get the yearly pounds generated. So yeah, and then that will conclude all of our recycling materials for the report. Again, making sure that you are putting in the haulers. All right, so now that you see that I've put in all the information for the 5 material types that were required, and then the 1 voluntary that I selected, now you can see that the recycling has that green checkbox, which is going to allow us to move forward to submit the report. Our trash is all filled in. Now for waste reduction, this is an opportunity for you all to tell us different things that's going on at your property, something that really can't be captured by the preset, boxes that we have for like mixed paper Christmas trees. This is also a section where, we're looking at to see, oh, maybe this property deserves an award this year because they just installed, water filters or something that can, reduce the amount of plastic bottles that are being used at the property. This is a really good section for you to just kind of write out anything that you're doing. I know properties like to say that they're doing like double-sided printing, or they just have like electronic newsletters, or maybe they did like a clothes drive. This would be the place for you to write in this section. And it can be, anything minor, it doesn't need to be anything major, but we're just very interested, to see creative ways that you've come up with to recycle and reduce waste at your property. For the sake of this presentation, I'm just going to put in anything so we can continue. So for our outreach and education activities, this is also telling us what you've been doing at the property. So I know a lot of managers will do like a move-in package for new move-ins. Maybe, you gave them one of our blue bins and a brochure, you can go ahead and click that box. If you've done a newsletter, maybe it was in print, or if you emailed it out, you can just tell us that you've done that and like the number of times, so maybe you did it quarterly. We would like to know if you've distributed any of our county materials that maybe Jessica or myself dropped off. We'd like to know if you handed any of those things out. We're interested to know if you have posters at your collection sites. Some of the properties have conducted a recycling event or training at their property. We'd like to know if you did it with us or if you did it without us or both. That's what that section is for. Check this if you've provided bins. So you all know that, we have bins that we can drop off at your property in any quantity that you may need. And then other outreach and education activities. So maybe you did like a holiday party or something, and you maybe put out one of our brochures. This is kind of an opportunity where you can tell us about some of the ways that you've outreached to your properties. And I've seen some pretty creative things put in these boxes, and I'll also like tell this to other property managers, that so they can use it. And then at the bottom, this is a place where you can request things from us. So if you need new bins, if you need magnets, if you need posters or labels, this is an opportunity for you to let us know what's needed. And then we will deliver that to you after reading your report. So moving on to report details, just let us know how many units are covered by this report. And this is units that are occupied. And then if you have this number for the total acreage of green area, please also report this. If you need to do any supporting information, I think I've seen some properties use this, like if they're a landscaper or if they're a scrap metal company, maybe you didn't understand how to put that into our reporting system. You can just upload that and that'll be attached to your report as well. So I'm just going to click save. And then now we can go ahead and preview all of the work that we've done. You have all the green check boxes here. If you're unable to complete this all in one setting, maybe you get to a point and you realize, oh, I didn't actually have any information from my landscaper. Just know that your work is being saved. If you click save at the end of each section, and then here we can preview everything that we've put in. So yeah, this is just a general preview page. And once you've previewed and made sure that everything is correct, you can go ahead and click submit. So here it says, I've completed my report and I can certify that you're complying with our regulations for 1-15. And then for the name, typically this is the person who is filling out the report. But then you can also down here, you can put the, if you don't want to, put your name, maybe you can put the property management, the property manager, or you can put the owner. Or I think there's some properties who use like a service. I forgot the name of it, but sometimes there's like a third party company who will submit this. Yeah, that's the word. Thank you. You can go ahead and put that as well. And you can do sign and submit. So that's basically the end of this. I don't necessarily want to submit it. I guess I could. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so I just click sign and submit and you'll get a thank you. It says you can view or download your report for your copy, which may be good to do. If there's any glitches, it may be good to have like a backup because you really don't want to have to go in and start from scratch. I am going to go ahead and go back to the account home. I do want to mention really quickly before we wrap up that if there's any information that's changed at your property, it would be good for you to update that. So here on the account home for your property, so this is for, just as an example, we have Diamond Elementary. Let's see if I can go in. Yeah, so if you click that, you can update some of this information. So like if your on-site contact has changed, which we know in multifamily properties, there's a lot of turnover. You can go ahead and put the updated on-site contact. You can go ahead and change the amount of units that are occupied if you need to. The property type typically stays the same. If you've changed your property management company, we would really like to know that information. This is a place for you to update that information. So yeah, I am going to get back to the presentation. And let's see. Ruth, can you see my slides again?
No, I don't see them yet.
Okay.
I can share mine.
Okay, I'll stop sharing.
Thank you. Okay. Debate. Okay, I think we have one question so far in the Q&A. Is that correct, Jessica?
Yeah, that's correct. Everyone, if you have questions at all about what we just talked about, I know it's a lot of information, a lot to digest, especially if you're new to all of this. Feel free to ask any questions that you have. We're happy to answer them here for you.
Yes, I think we finished a little bit earlier than expected, so we can use some of this time to answer the questions. So let's go ahead and read that question that is in the Q&A.
Yeah, so our first question that we have here is about what happens if you're unable to get the information from the collectors? What if they're not providing that information to you?
Well, I can go ahead and answer that. So, let's say waste management doesn't respond to you, and you've tried to call them, you've emailed them, and you're just not getting that information. Well, luckily, again, we have our calculator where you can just go ahead and generate some of that information yourself. If you know the number of bins you have, if you know the size, if you know the frequency of collection, you can go ahead and put that information in yourself. For scrap metal or Christmas trees, if your hauler's not answering you, you'd have to just do an estimate, and we're totally okay with that. If you know that, oh, I think maintenance had to replace, maybe 5 refrigerators last year, that's okay for you to estimate. But really, you can use that other box just to communicate these estimations to us. You don't want to leave it blank. Because the problem's just going to come right back around. Me or Jessica, we're going to reach out and say, hey, we noticed that you didn't put anything for landscaping, and we're going to have to still find out that information in some way. So maybe you'll have to keep hounding your haulers, unfortunately, but for most things, like I said, for mixed paper and commingled, you can generate that information on your own. If you know the total acreage of your green space, you can generate your landscaping pounds for composting or grass cycling on your own as well. I don't think that you're completely in the dark if your hauler doesn't respond. But yeah, there are options.
I want to add to that also. One really important thing that you should be aware of is that sometimes it takes the collectors a little bit of time to get that information to you, and sometimes like a scrap metal collector or the landscaper might not send it if you don't ask for it first. So try to plan to ask if you haven't received it already. Ask at like the beginning of January, or as soon as you can for this report. You don't want to wait until January 29th because they might not get it to you in time, and then you're not going to get it to us in time. So you want to just be, aim to gather that information, early January.
Yes, and there was also a question about the landscaper. When the landscaper take Christmas trees, they are also supposed to give you an estimate of the Christmas trees that they collected, so that you can have a number to report to us. So even though the residents won't know how many Christmas trees were collected, they have no idea, or they may not have just a central location. What I understand here is the landscaper is gonna have like they are gonna take care of the Christmas trees, which is great. But also they are responsible to letting you know how many Christmas trees they found in your community, so that way you can report to us. Okay. I think the same person had asked about finding them for not giving you the information. So we actually don't find them. The property is, the executive regulation 1-15 is mainly for the property managers. So you guys are responsible for finding this information as you have private contracts with them. Okay, I don't see any questions. Thank you for contacting them. Never too early to contact the contractors.
Any other questions that anyone has? You can go ahead and type them right in the Q&A. We'll answer them right now for you. Also, if you want to just take down our email addresses on, on the slide here, if you have questions later, you can always contact us then too.
Yes, and I believe Jessica has posted the link to the track calculator. But if you don't have it right now, we're also going to add it in the email that's gonna follow up this webinar. So I'll be sending you guys the slides that we provided here, the recordings, and the links to file. Okay. Does anybody has any other questions? I see, thank you for the class. Is there a fee for individual bins to be provided to county units of recycling? No, there is no fee. So Rhonda, I think just to answer that question, everybody can request at least one baby blue bin per unit. If you need two, we also provide two. Some people like to have one for mixed paper, one for commingle, that's fine. But most apartments, because they are limited in space, they only want one container per unit. So that's totally okay. If you have a storage room where you can host, you can hold more than you need, it's okay with us. So you can ask for larger quantities as well, which is preferable for us. So you can, less trips for us delivering. So definitely. All right, thank you, Rhonda. So I think we have your property name, but you can type your property name there, is better for us. So remember where those go. But I think Jessica has worked with you before. Okay, thank you, everybody. So we're gonna wait maybe another 5 minutes here if anybody has any more questions. But if you don't have any more questions, you are free to go. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Happy holidays for everybody. I hope you have a safe and a great time with your family and your friends during this time. Thank you for participating in this webinar.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Renee. Okay, so I think you have the address for Rhonda right there. Wonderful. Okay, I see that most people have leave the webinar. Just for reminder, please email us or contact us via phone. That is my phone number too. If you have further questions about your recycling, waste reduction and recycling report, we will be more than happy to assist you with any questions, not only for your recycling report, but any other questions about your recycling and waste reduction programs. Thank you guys for participating today, and stay tuned for more webinars to come. We will have another webinar coming up in January 19th, so we will be sending information regarding that soon, and we hope to see you there again. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, everybody who participated today. Have a great day.
You too, Ruth.
Thank you.